Welcome in, everyone, to another edition of On the Rise here on AM 1410 WRMN. Mike Napolitano joining you from Studio 14 out here in Elgin. And we've got a jam-packed day here for you today.
If you have been charged with driving under the influence of alcohol or drugs in Cook County, DuPage County, or Lake County, Illinois, call the law office of Mark Sheblow at 773-775-5050. That's 773-775-5050. Attorney Mark Sheblow has over 29 years of law experience handling DUI defense, traffic violations, CDL violations, and Secretary of State driver's license reinstatement hearings. All aspects of your case will be examined in order to find evidence that may help your case, especially the statutory summary suspension of your driving privileges. If your breath alcohol concentration level at the time of the DUI arrest is 0.08 or more, then the summary suspension of your driver's license begins 46 days after the arrest. Time is a crucial factor in challenging the summary suspension of your driver's license. Our law office is located at 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. That's 5945 North Elston Avenue in Chicago. And again, our office phone number is 773-775-5050.
They're simple, boring, never thought of until they're needed. They're windshield wipers. Only when Mary Anderson became annoyed that New York trolley drivers were stopping to wipe their windshield by hand did anybody do something about it. By attaching a spring-loaded arm to a rubber blade, one woman made travel easier and safer. Look to innovate and pass it on. From passiton.com.
Building a house is hard, but have you tried removing one? Flood Brothers takes the mess out of demolition. With fast roll-off dumpster delivery, reliable debris pickup, and a family-owned team that takes service personal. Call 630-261-0400 or visit floodbrothersdisposal.com. Flood Brothers Disposal, proud sponsor of America's First Responders Fest.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Welcome back into AM 1410 WRMN's On the Rise. Mike Napolitano here alongside Dalton Cooper, and we are getting another Saturday of sports kicked off here with the River Media Network sports side of things on AM 1410 WRMN. Now a Fox station. Yes, you can listen to all of Fox's programming right here on AM 1410 WRMN. Fox Radio is our proud partner, and we are still serving the Fox River Valley for you guys. Dalton, we'll kick it off to you in just a second, but as all the listeners are expecting here with our typical sports show, of course, since the Cubs are so red hot right now, we are, of course, going to start with the White Sox, who are on a little bit of a skid as of late, but they're picking things up hopefully with this homestand, and you know, we are proud partners and affiliates of the Chicago White Sox. You can listen to every single White Sox game right here on AM 1410 WRMN. But Dalton, your thoughts on the Southsiders right now? Is it too early to press the panic button?
expectation was not to win more than, I think the over-under in Vegas was like 70 or 70.5. So, I mean, the fact that they are currently 17-21, like you said, they're on like maybe I think they've lost 3 out of 4, if I'm not mistaken. They're still right there in the AL Central. Luckily, everybody in the American League outside of New York and Tampa Bay is like drunk and has forgotten how to play baseball.
Yeah.
So luckily for the White Sox, it's a good time for that to be happening. And I mean, like I said, if you're thinking anything about panic button with the White Sox, I feel like you got to wait till at least next year. I feel like they have delayed the panic button for at least a year. They've shown you some things and some positives to look forward to in the future. So panic button should not be anywhere near the Chicago White Sox.
Agreed. I don't think this is a little bit. I mean, it's a 3-game skid right now. 2 winnable games against the Angels that the White Sox drop, and then a third one last night against a Seattle Mariners team that they hung in there with for the first couple innings. In fact, I believe it was a 5-1 deficit at one point. Next thing you know, bases are loaded. They got the second run in there, and then Colson Montgomery with the bases loaded hits I believe it was a double that cleared the bases. So tie ball game. Unfortunately, at a certain point later on in the game, it was 12-5 in favor of Seattle. Now, this is a Seattle team that made the playoffs last year. They've got a couple of players that made it to the World Baseball Classic, but so do the White Sox. Of course, one, Kyle Teal, is on the injured list still. Hopefully get some more information on when his return is coming within the next couple of weeks here. It should be pretty soon. But yeah, I mean, you're not going to win all 3 games, I don't think, against Seattle. But then again, the White Sox, they took 2 out of 3 from a very good San Diego Padres team. So as much as you were saying that the AL is a little bit woozy right now, the NL seems to be where the White Sox are making their bread, because they had a good series against the Washington Nationals. Unfortunately, fell short in a couple of those. Picked it back up on the road, surprisingly, against the Padres. And that was a huge thing, too, for this White Sox team that started out the year on the road for 6 games against 2 NL teams. Both of those series didn't go the White Sox way. Swept by the Brewers, 2 out of 3 for the Miami Marlins against the White Sox. So they start that season off 1-5. Yeah, way too early to press any kind of panic button. Munetaka Murakami hits his 15th home run last night, which once again ties him for the league lead. He's keeping that pace with Aaron Judge and some of those other big hitters like Yordan Alvarez. But, I mean, this White Sox team is very young. I agree with you. If this is happening maybe next year, and by this, I mean, what? This is only a 3-game losing streak. It's nothing crucial, nothing dire, nothing gigantic, right? But if something like this were to sneak into May or June next year, I think, all right, maybe you're trying to get back on the ball. This year, if the White Sox, if they end up losing 2 more to the Seattle Mariners here and they go on a 5-game losing streak, I'm still not pressing a panic button. You know why? It's because nobody had the expectations of this team, right, this year. They had 60 wins last year. I predicted an 81-81 season. Most people were in the mid to high 70s range, if that, maybe just straight up 70 wins for this White Sox team. So they're on pace to beat that. And even if they come a little bit short of those expectations, I think individually and player development-wise, you're seeing some good things out of this White Sox team. So I don't know how you feel about this. I mean, you've got more take on the NL side of things because your Cincinnati Reds were in town. But we're going to actually save our Cubs talk for the very end of the show. Don't worry, we're going to get to it for sure. We're going to save it till the end of the show just because we have a very special guest, Blake Cowell, joining us. You may remember he joined us a couple weeks ago to talk some Cubs. He's actually on his way down to Texas to see the Cubs take on the Rangers at Globe Life Field. So that'll be an exciting trip for him, and we'll get a chance to pick his brain on the red-hot Northsiders, the Chicago Cubs. So
yeah, that'd be good to hear him. I'm curious to see his stadium food venture that he's on as well.
Yes, yeah. Did he went down last night, and this will be maybe game 2 for him, or is he just?
No, I think they're driving down today. I think they're catching Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, yeah, and then I think he's coming in. Hopefully next weekend we'll get some more information on our press coverage for the Crosstown series, because I know everybody is patiently awaiting White Sox versus Cubs at Rate Field next week. It's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 15th, 16th, and 17th. We should be there for the majority of the games as WRMN coverage But we've also got some special coverage coming up, too. The WRMN team will be down in Indy to cover Banana Ball. It'll be the Indianapolis Clowns playing for the first time in Indianapolis since they brought the team back, and then also the Party Animals. They will be facing. That was the team that was created to face the Bananas a couple of years ago, so that they'd have an actual opponent within the league. So that should be fun. Plus, next weekend, Cougars home opener. 15th, 16th, and 17th. Of course, the 15th, they'll be celebrating their championship. They're back-to-back Miles Wolf Cup championship winners. But they've also got a ring ceremony to do. Not the ring giveaway. They haven't announced if there's going to be there should be a fan giveaway at some point, but that's not going to be on that opening night. They're already giving away opening night caps, so hats being distributed. That Saturday and Sunday, I believe, are magnet schedule giveaways. So a big weekend for the Kane County Cougars. And we don't even have to wait all the way until next weekend for the Schaumburg Boomers to get things started. Home opener is Monday at 6:30. They'll have games Tuesday and Wednesday as well against the Trois-Rivières Eagles. And then they actually started last night on the road, though. I believe they're out in Lake Erie taking on the Crushers. Boomers got the victory last night in the season opener. So already off to a good start and chasing that championship once again. Boomers, if you don't recall, they made it to the championship last year. We were covering both them and the Cougars simultaneously because of two different leagues, American Association with the Cougars, Frontier League with the Boomers, and the Boomers came 1 run short in a Game 5 of winning the championship. That's 2 runs if you're talking about actually winning, but a 6-5 loss. They couldn't tie things back up in the bottom of the 8th or the 9th. And unfortunately, that's how that one wrapped up on home turf, too. So I know a lot of the returning cast from this Boomers team, they're going to want some retribution. We'll get a chance to talk to some of them throughout the season, and then we will be carrying all of the content on our social media platforms. If you haven't gone over, check out our social media platforms. Dalton does a great job of posting and keeping things updated over there. That is both WRMN on Facebook and Instagram, as well as On the Rise on both of those platforms. Plus, there is the TikTok for On the Rise as well. You can find our personal accounts from there. Dalton Cooper, mostly just Dalton Cooper on everything. Myself, mostly just Mike Napolitano on everything. But one more quick note about the White Sox. We had Tony Tilo Lopez at the game last night to cover, so if you didn't catch any of that content, head on over for the socials for that one. I will be there in attendance this evening after I am at the Chicago Fire game, and our very own Jimmy Vaselli Law will be there as well. He texted me this morning, so I'll go ahead and get a chance to talk to him. Nice. And we'll talk maybe a little bit of baseball as we're watching the Sox. WRMN Morning Show is sponsored by the good folks at Vaselli Law. So visit their website at jmvchicago.com. One more time, jmvchicagolaw.com. Or call 630-931-8225. That's 630-931-8225. 8225, Vaselli Law, advising governments, defending communities. So,
if I were to ask you the percentage odds for the White Sox to make the playoffs, what would you say they are right now?
Well, considering earlier this week they were only a game back of the division lead, and I mean that's surprising when you haven't hit 500 yet. The White Sox currently sitting at 17-21. They were just a game below 500. And then this skid started for the White Sox. So knowing that they were a game out of the division lead, but they were actually sitting in that third and final wild card spot in the AL, just to make the playoffs, as of right now, if things go at the pace that they're at, I think they could sneak into that third wild card spot surprisingly pretty easily. I'm gonna say that their odds to make the playoffs, given that it is a long season and things may change. I don't think it's as high as 70, but I don't think it's as low as 50. So I'm going to cut right in the middle. I'm going to go with 60%.
Wow. You are very ambitious, and that's why we love you, Michael. But right now, they currently sit at 10% to make the postseason.
10%? Is that updated based on the start of the season? Okay, all right.
That is playoff odds based on as the second, according to Baseball Reference.
As the second. So they're predicting that this White Sox team, what they're doing is not sustainable. And I'm not talking about the 3-game losing streak. I'm talking about competing in this Central Division that is weak. So either those numbers are suggesting that the AL Central is going to pick their game up, maybe the rest of the AL as well, or maybe the White Sox are going to fall off that inevitable cliff. And I hate to say it like that because, but we've seen Chicago White Sox baseball here in Chicago as a Sox fan myself. There is a cliff. It's a long season. I don't know with these young guys, keyword young guys, if it's sustainable, right? I mean, there's still a lot of growing pains there. So I'm not surprised at the 10%, but if you would have told me at the start of the season what their odds were to make the playoffs, I would have told you probably 0.1%. I would have been lower than that. And then given how that first week started, like I said, 1-5, then you come home for the home opener. That one, I don't believe, went their way as well. No, actually, they got the sweep of the Toronto Blue Jays at home. So they brought their record back up to 4-5, but it still was very hit and miss. Not to, no pun intended, but it was very swing and miss at the start of the season. And I would have still kept that under 10%. Now, seeing what I've seen, not just from the league, but also from the White Sox, I could see them sneaking into that wild card spot. So I'm going to go, I was predicting that what you were looking at had 60%. I'm going to go with 50-50. I'm going to go with an even 50-50. Okay. And I know that sounds like it's a lukewarm take, but if you would have told me at the start of the season that the White Sox have a 50% chance of making the playoffs, I would have said you're in Looney Tunes land. Like, that's insane. I predicted 81-81. So there's my 50-50 cutting in right there. I guess I'm straight up the middle, but an 81-81 season going exactly 500, that's a 500 prediction right there. 50-50, that's not a 500 prediction. That's ambitious, I think, still from myself. But I'm going to hold this White Sox team to it, especially with how much we've gotten a chance to talk to Derek Shulman right here on the show, in the dugout, and then also GM Chris Getz and manager Will Venable. I mean, these guys all believe that it's sustainable right now, especially for superstars like Munetaka Murakami. So when you've got a big bat in your lineup like that, I know we were talking in the group chat a little bit. Blake Cowell was joining in on that one too. 30% K rate, 20% walk rate. So the other 50% of the time, Munetaka Murakami is hitting home runs, right? He's got a couple of singles and one double mixed in there. Actually, this past week, he got his first big league double. But, have you ever seen, I guess the answer to this question, because they said it was the first guy to ever do this, have you ever seen somebody with such a weird plate percentage of 50% of it is either K or walk, and then the other 50 is mashing the ball?
Adam Dunn, maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
That's about the only thing. But no, he is definitely a statistical anomaly, and his approach is amazing, honestly, because that was like the big thing when he was playing in the Japanese league, is that some scouts were worried that he'd be chasing, he'd be striking out too much. They didn't know how well he would handle, major league, fastballs, and everything that they thought that he knew about this man was completely wrong. Like, he mashes fastballs. He takes, good at bats for the most part. He doesn't chase too much. He's gotten a lot more discipline, like you mentioned with the walk rate, but there's got to be a dozen teams in the league right now that are kicking themselves because they didn't just explore that option, because it's not like the White Sox were like, gung-ho about bringing Murataki or, Mooney in to begin with. So,
yeah. We talked a little bit about some of those franchises that passed up on him, and they did their scouting reports and didn't find that he was worth bringing to their team. And just another stat here real quick to show why those scouts were wrong. Munetaka Murakami has homered in the first game in each of the last 8 series that the White Sox have played in. He's the first player in MLB history to do so. So yet another record that this man's broken. Keep in mind, he's played a little over a month in the MLB, and you know the amount of records he's broken already? That's just ridiculous. He had that first game home run against the Rays. He homered in all 3 games against the Athletics. He homered in the first 2 games of the Diamondbacks series, home run in the first game of the Nationals series, first game of the Angels series, first game of the Padres series, first game of the Angels series, and then he had his, like I said, 15th and league lead tying home run last night against the Mariners, and they have still yet to play the 2 games that they will be playing at home against the Mariners the rest of this weekend. That'll be today at 6:10 p.m., and then tomorrow a 1:10 Sunday manatee game, right? Matinee game against the Seattle Mariners once again. The homestand continues with the Kansas City Royals on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all 6:40 p.m. start times. And then the Crosstown Series, as I mentioned, Chicago Cubs and White Sox dueling it out at Rate Field. That'll be an exciting one to watch, especially with how red hot both teams have been. Despite this 3-game losing streak for the White Sox, I expect them to get back on the ball against a weaker Kansas City team. And then 6:40, 6:10, and 1:10 respectively on that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against the Cubs. And we'll get to that Cubs talk at the end of this episode. As I mentioned, Blake Cowell will be joining us at 11:30, but stick around. We haven't even talked NBA playoffs here on the show. It has been such a busy last 3 weeks, I think, here, and we have to really dive into what is going on in the basketball world, especially with the Bulls as well. When they have to start giving out apologies, you know something is wrong, but something could also be going right. We've got that as well as NHL playoffs, AHL playoffs. Your Chicago Wolves are moving on to the Central Division Finals. All of that and more. We've got soccer on the rise. And, oh, yeah, that's the name of our show right here on The Rise. Stay tuned for more Dalton Cooper and Mike Napolitano on AM 1410 WRMN.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
Bears rookie minicamp is underway. The team works out today and tomorrow. Rookie minicamp features the 2026 draft class, undrafted free agents, and tryout players. The camp includes 7 drafted rookies and 13 undrafted free agents. Players reported over the last few days for physicals. Day off for the White Sox Thursday. They'll look to snap a 2-game slide when they open a series at home tonight against Seattle. 2-2 Sean Burke gets the start. Emerson Hancock gets the start for the Mariners. The Cubs completed a 4-game sweep of the Reds at Wrigley Field on Thursday, winning 8-3. Michael Conforto 3 for 3 with a home run and 2 RBI. Shota Imanaga tossed 6 innings of 1-run ball. It was the 15th straight home win of the season for the Cubs. They improved to 26-12, while the Reds lost their 7th straight. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive.
I'm Chuck Sanders on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
Liberty Mutual customize this song for you. Like your car insurance, it's custom too, yeah. Liberty Mutual's got the coverage that could save you money. Thanks to Doug and Limu, well now you can go and take that cruise. Liberty, 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 yeah.
Join us at Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, our biggest trade event of the year, May 14th through the 17th. Trade in your RV and get the highest value guaranteed. Then upgrade for less with new RVs starting as low as $94 a month. Plus, take 25% off select maintenance services. Save up to 40% on camp-ready must-haves. And enter to win a new RV. Don't miss the Red, White, and New Trade event at your local Camping World, May 14th through the 17th. We'll see you there.
Do you ever crave a delicious treat, but that pesky guilt lingers over you? Well, you can have your dessert and eat it too. Desserts that's gluten-free, keto, vegan, and actually delicious. Yes, we're serious. At Desserts Without Regrets, located in Gilbert's, we bake for people who read labels. Custom cookies, celebration cakes, and treats made with clean ingredients and zero guilt. No walk-ins, because great dessert takes planning. Pre-order only at dessertswithoutregrets.com or call Daria at 312-610-9033. That's Desserts Without Regrets, because dessert should never be a regret.
Is back or neck pain keeping you from living the life you love? At St. Joseph Hospital in Elgin, our spine specialists help patients get back to moving, working, and enjoying life again, often with minimally invasive treatments and faster recovery. The care you need, the expertise you trust, right here in your community. Visit stjosephelgin.com to schedule a consultation. St. Joseph Hospital, celebrating 125 years of compassionate care.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast, brought to you by Primatene Mist. This afternoon, partly sunny with a high near 72, a slight chance of rain showers. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 43, a slight chance of rain showers. Looking ahead to Sunday, sunny with a high near 62. Currently, it's 62 and overcast. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
Join us at Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, our biggest trade event of the year, May 14th through the 17th. Trade in your RV and get the highest value guaranteed. Then upgrade for less with new RVs starting as low as $94 a month. Plus, take 25% off select maintenance services. Save up to 40% on camp-ready must-haves. And enter to win a new RV. Don't miss the Red, White, and New Trade event at your local Camping World, May 14th through the 17th. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to AM 1410 WRMN. Mike Napolitano and Dalton Cooper right here on The Rise. We are without Nick Johnston today, but hopefully he will be back with us next week. I will be virtual and on the road next week out in Indianapolis for some banana ball. However, we've got so much more to cover this week before we even jump into next week. And it's something that we haven't covered here really at all within these last 2 to 3 weeks. It's been the NBA playoffs, and they have been exciting despite us not really jumping in too much to talk about them. But boy, oh boy, has that been a great storyline pretty much in every series. Even going back to a little recap for you, the play-in rounds. I mean, we had an upset. First of all, the Bulls, if they would have made it this year, wouldn't have lost to the Miami Heat by the transitive property, because if the Bulls would have taken that 9th place spot to get into the play-in rounds, the Miami Heat were in the 10th spot. So they would have beat them just like the Hornets did. However, the Orlando Magic coming up, they lost to the 76ers. It wasn't the Orlando Magic. Who am I thinking of right here that ended up upsetting? That was the Trailblazers over the Suns. Trailblazers were on the western side of things. They were the 7th seed as well. What am I reading here right now? It's weird because NBA has them listed as a worse record than the Suns, but the Suns were in a spot below them, in the 8th place spot, just based on how the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th places went about themselves. Then you get into those next set of games. That was 76ers over Magic, so no upset there. Then you had Warriors over Clippers. That was the upset. The Golden State Warriors are only 37 wins on the season. They were playing .451 basketball, but they take out the Clippers, who were sitting right above them, playing .512 basketball. But then you move on here with the play-in rounds. The Magic take out the Hornets, which was to be expected. And then you had the Suns taking out the Warriors, which was also to be expected. So it was your normal 1 through 8. I'd like to see some stats. Maybe we'll pull that for next show, or maybe I'll do some research. How many times it's not the 7th seed coming up here in the, 7th and 8th seeds coming up here. Because I don't know how often this play-in round really gets you a 9th or 10th seed. In fact, I believe it was the Bulls the one year, so I'm debunking my own thought process already and my own hypothesis. But, I mean, most of the time you're seeing those higher-seeded teams move on as expected. You're not seeing too many upsets. But when we get into the actual conferences and the actual playoff bracket of things, we got to take you back to that first round. Yeah, go for it. What you got?
Four times. So since the NBA play-in tournament began in 2021, a 9 or a 10 seed has advanced to the playoff bracket 4 times out of a possible 10.
Out of a possible 10. Okay.
So you've had 3 9 seeds make it. 2021 Pacers, 2022 Pelicans, 2022 Hawks, and then the 10 seeds was the 2025 Heat. And if you remember, that team went all the way to the NBA Finals, I think.
Oh, that's right. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, you're right. That was a play-in team that ended up going all the way. The Bulls, I was mistaken. They won the first game, but then they didn't make it through that second play-in round game because they were a 9th or 10th seed, and then they had to go up against a 7th or 8th seed. So yeah, they didn't quite do that. But 4 out of 10 times is higher than I thought. 40% of the time in a short sample size, basically, because we've only been seeing this play-in round since 2021.
Yeah, the 7 seed is 100% success rate since 2021, since the inception. So if you finish in 7th, you're 100% chance to make the playoffs. The 8 seed is 67%, 9th is 25%, and the 10 seed is an 8% success rate.
Well, we only had a success rate for one of the 7th or 8th seeds, the 4 of them in the 2 conferences. That was the 76ers taking the Celtics, the 2 seed Celtics, to the Game 7, in which the 76ers won 109-100 to move on to face the Knicks in the second round. Unfortunately for the 76ers, the Knicks have a commanding 3-0 lead in that series. So we could be looking at a sweep. Game 4 will be tomorrow at 2:30 p.m. But you go to those other 1 versus 8 matchups. It was the Thunder sweeping the Suns, not even a prayer for the Suns, even though they get through that play-in round. That OKC Thunder team, we talked about them. They are absolutely dominant. We'll circle back to them. But the Pistons taking on the Magic. Magic fought well. They also took the 1 seed Pistons to a Game 7, similar to the 76ers and Celtics series. Unfortunately, the underdog didn't get the victory in this one. 116-94. Pistons move on to face the Cavaliers, and they already have a 2-0 lead over said Cleveland Cavaliers. The other 2 versus 7 matchup was the Spurs and the Trailblazers. Spurs take that in a gentleman's sweep. 5 games for 1 victory. They move on, and they take on the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves, a 6th seed this year, a little bit of a drop since last year, and they're behind in the series against the Spurs, 2-1. Tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. will be Game 4 of that series. Today's games, though, Thunder versus Lakers, the 1 seed versus the 4 seed. The Lakers knocked out the Rockets in 6 games, and that will be a 7:30 p.m. start tonight. That is prime time. But the earlier game for today, also a 1 versus 4 matchup. The Pistons taking on the Cleveland Cavaliers. As I mentioned, the Cavaliers, they had a little bit of a struggle with the Toronto Raptors. That went to 7 games, but they come out on top, 114-102. Dalton, what have you seen from this NBA playoffs, and is it inevitable that the Thunder are going back-to-back here?
I don't know if it's inevitable. I think it's inevitable that the winner of the title is coming out of the West. I'll go that far.
Okay, yeah.
I think the best series right now going, obviously, I think is Timberwolves and Spurs.
Oh, okay.
I would have loved to see the 76ers make the Eastern Conference Finals. I just don't think that's going to happen anymore.
No.
They definitely had their chances. As much as I always love to see Boston sad, that was kind of fun. But to answer your question, are the Thunder? If I had to lean that way, that's where I'd be leaning. I just think Detroit is not built to win a championship yet, even though they're up 2-0 on the Cavs right now. I just think the West is so deep, and I just think that's where your winner lies. So I like Thunder. I mean, I don't know if the Thunder could take the Spurs, because the Spurs, I don't know if you remember in the very beginning of the season, they played like 2 or 3 games between those 2 teams in the first 25 games of the season.
Yeah, it was weird.
And the Thunder couldn't beat them.
Right.
So
yeah, that was a thorn in their side, because get it a spur.
I think it's time for Wemby to ascend to his rightful place as maybe the new face of the league.
Oh, already. I mean, I like it. I mean, he was a rookie 2 years ago alongside Connor Bedard, and you saw that jersey swap. I don't think Connor Bedard's ever going to be able to fit into a Victor Wembanyama game-worn jersey. Let's just say that.
Can't even high-five the man.
And Victor Wembanyama, if he tried to put on the hockey jersey for Connor Bedard, I think it would not only be a short sleeve, but I think it would be a crop top. Let's just say that. But yeah, that man is a giant. And I agree with you that it has been probably one of the most entertaining series of this conference semifinals, just because of the fact that it's the only series in which an underdog team, a lower seed, has won a game. I mean, we're talking New York leading the 76ers 3-0, Pistons leading the Cavaliers 2-0, and Thunder leading the Lakers 2-0. I know everybody's talking about the Thunder versus LeBron stuff, with the Lakers being in it, and can LeBron actually get over that hurdle and get back to where he was before? Of course, you have Luka in that series as well. But on the Thunder side of things, SGA, I think, is just...
Luka's still hurt.
Oh, is he still out? Okay. I wasn't familiar with... that was first round?
He got hurt right before the end of the regular season. They had about 6 games left, and he suffered his lower body injury. I can't remember if it was a hamstring or an ankle.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there were reports though that he might come back for these playoffs, but I don't think it would be until late, right?
Right. Well, you know how this works with playoffs. They always want to like keep that window open because they want the other team to think. But I don't think you're going to see him until next year.
Yeah, probably. Especially if they get knocked out here, they could really use him against the Thunder, and they're not going to continue at this pace and move on. Let's just say, and not just because it's a 2-0 lead, but because the Thunder have pretty much dominated in those first two games. A 108-90 final in the first one, and a 125-107 victory in that second game. Doncic still leading LA in points per game, average points per game, 33.5. So nobody has really stepped it up in his absence in that department. As far as Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA, 31.1, that leads his side of things. But it's Chet Holmgren with the 8.9 rebounds per game, and once again, SGA with 6.6 assists. Luka Doncic also leads the Lakers in assists per game with 8.3 average. So, I mean, when this guy is still on your leaderboard for numbers, it just kind of goes to show you that nobody else has really stepped up in playoffs. I mean, it could be by committee, but when you see a 2-0 series lead and the discrepancies in those scores like that, you kind of understand that that is not the case. As far as the spreads go, it is not the closest series, though. San Antonio is favored at minus 4.5, but the closest spread is in the Knicks versus 76ers series, which is a little surprising to me because the Knicks have a 3-0 series lead, and those games haven't quite been close either. New York taking the first game 137-98. Second game was a little bit closer, 108-102, but then 108-94. So not only holding the 76ers to under 100 points in two of those three games, but also unloading for a barrage of 137 and then posting two 108s back-to-back. I mean, this Knicks team looks hungry to get back there this year, and I don't think the 76ers are going to stand in their way, but it is a minus 1.5 spread going into Game 4, so we'll see if the 76ers can defend their home court. As I said, that's tomorrow at 2:30 p.m.
Yeah, and the big thing in that series too between the Knicks and the Sixers is the Knicks are doing a really good job keeping Tyrese Maxey in check.
Yeah.
Maxey had 30 or more in 4 out of the 7 games against Boston. He has yet to score more than 26 in this series, and that was Game 2, and that was the closest game of the series. So the Sixers go as Tyrese Maxey goes, and he can open up the floor. And unfortunately, he's not seeing the success that he was in the first round, and I think that's pretty indicative of why they're down 3-0 in the series.
He's another gentleman who also leads his team in points per game and assists average with 28.3 and 6.6 respectively. Andre Drummond coming in for the rebound department with 8.4, but those numbers don't even compare to the other side of things. Jalen Brunson leading in points with 26. That is lower than Tyrese Maxey, but we know with this Knicks team, there's a number of players there that can get the job done. One of those being Karl Anthony Towns, who leads in rebounds 11.9. Jalen Brunson, 6.8 assists on average per game. So, I mean, that Knicks team built to be a deep playoff run. Can they finally get over the hump? We'll see. The other series in the East there, even though Dalton said the winner's definitely coming from the West, the only series that we haven't really broken down too much is the Pistons versus the Cavaliers. I don't know about you. I feel like this has been one of the most boring series. I hate to say that here, but I mean, it seems like it's pretty status quo for this Pistons team, who a couple of years ago were one of the worst teams for a number of years in the league. They have completely opened up their playoff window and turned things around with guys like Jalen Duren and Cade Cunningham. But, I mean, they just kind of seem to be playing, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an NHL team that does this that's in the playoffs right now, but like that boring hockey.
Kings.
Like they're getting the job done. Yeah, I guess Kings, really.
The Kings are probably the best example.
If the Islanders would have made the playoffs, I would have said the Islanders. Maybe even a little bit the Philadelphia Flyers, but there's been too many storylines for me to still say that they're quote-unquote boring. But, yeah, I mean, Detroit just kind of going with the wind here, right? And Cleveland, listen, don't get me wrong, they're a 4 seed, but they're just not there, right? Donovan Mitchell putting up numbers, Mobley is there as well, but like you're not really hearing a whole lot out of Cleveland.
Yeah, and James Harden has not been the acquisition, at least to show up yet, that they were hoping he would be. I still think the big story here is the Pistons. I mean, since they were down 3-1 to the Magic, they have yet to lose. I mean, they've won 5 in a row.
That part's true.
They're still a younger team, and the way that they're built and the style of play, they're very physical. They're kind of your throwback Pistons. Like they're physical. They're going to play defense. They're going to make you score, and they're not going to get up and down the floor as frequently as kind of that new style of NBA, which you kind of see it in football where everything is kind of a big circle to where now people are going to 3 tight end sets. So maybe the NBA is shifting more toward a physical style is kind of the outlier, and maybe that's the way that teams need to go to win. I mean, you see it with the Knicks too. The Knicks are one of the best defensive teams, all season, and they were last year's too, and they obviously made the Eastern Conference Finals. So, Kate Cunningham is hopefully going to take them as far as he possibly can. I just think they're a very interestingly built team. That's what kind of gets me is they win on defense and toughness, and then they hope that Kate can score 30 or 40, and that it's enough to get it done.
That is true. That's true. Well, we also have some other basketball news. Before I jump into it, I just noticed now we've got some comments flowing through here. Jose and Brendan, pleasure to have you guys joining us here. Jose saying White Sox going to have a bad year, over 90 games lost. No, I don't think so, man.
I was going to say that's pretty pessimistic there.
I think we're out of there, right? I think we're out of those woods. He had said 25% to make the playoffs. Good to see you guys in the chat. And then that's about it. It is a beautiful day in South Elgin, Illinois, that's for sure. But it's a beautiful day when the Bulls come out and finally admit wrongdoing, basically. They've given a disservice to the fans for a number of years here, not putting together a competitive lineup. Most of the time, even if it was even remotely competitive, it was an extremely aging lineup. And first off, Michael Reinsdorf, the very first words out of his mouth at that postseason or end of season press conference, "I'm sorry." I don't know if you got a chance to listen to any of this, Dalton. What did you make of really any of this Bulls press conference? And then do you think things are going to change?
I do. I like the hiring of Bryson Graham.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I liked everything about his introductory press conference. I liked everything he had to say. I think the biggest thing that has me feeling optimistic about this hire is that they finally picked a person who wants to be here as opposed to somebody that they wanted here. If
Right.
that makes sense. Like, Bryson Graham wants this job. He has a back. I think he had like 15 years in the Pelicans organization. Then he had, a handful of years with the Hawks as well. And his background is, I guess, from everything that I've read so far, is that he's really good at scouting and developing and finding, those late round talent guys, which works out great because we've got like 30 second round picks that he's going to get to use at his disposal. But no, as far as, what's going to happen moving forward, I'm curious to see who they pick as the new GM and the new head coach. I think this definitely tells you, and you heard in that press comments that they're gonna tank. They're gonna take the tanking route. More likely, they're gonna sign some expiring contracts, or maybe take some money from teams this offseason or in the beginning of the season, which is great because I think that's the route they need to go. They're gonna take that Oklahoma City route where they're gonna take a bunch of dead money from people in exchange for draft picks, and then hopefully those draft picks turn into superstars. So I think for the first time in a while, there is at least a plan, and I think once they start getting the right people in place, and Bryson hopefully being the first right person to be put into place, gets the ball rolling in the right direction for the Bulls.
Agreed. And I think that this is well overdue. I mean, people talk about, I was just having a conversation.
Oh, yeah.
I usually don't jump into comment sections because it only leads to arguments online, but I was having a conversation with somebody who knows hockey very well. I don't want to call them out and say that they don't know puck, right? But they know hockey very well, but they're a Blackhawks fan, and they were saying that, oh my gosh, I don't know if I believe in this rebuild. It's been taking so long. Once again, I'll reiterate that the Blackhawks rebuild did not start until you're basically, a tank is the start of a rebuild, right? Because you're outright saying, okay, We're throwing in the towel so that we could get these high draft picks, right? And I understand it's been, 11 first-round draft picks for the Blackhawks in the last number of years, and that's a lot. And at a certain point, you're like, okay, well, how many young assets do we have to have? Can we just finally get competitive hockey, or can we trade those assets for something that's ready now? Can we be competitive now rather than, oh, look at our farm system, look at Rockford, look at how things are developing, right? Things are developed now. So that's why when we'll go into Blackhawks talk and some NHL playoff talk here in just a second, but when you look at the Blackhawks, that's why in the locker room and also in the media, the expectation for 2026-27 is playoffs, right? Even if you could sneak into a wild card spot at the very least. With this Bulls team, though, it's the same way. The rebuild didn't start when you thought it started. This is the start of the rebuild for the Bulls. Before this, it was retooling. We don't really know what we're doing. We're adding in some veteran presence that is going to help us because they've won championships. No, they're aging and they can't get up and down the court without getting injured. We're waiting for Lonzo Ball to come back. I mean, remember those days? Oh my gosh. I can't believe we're out of the woods with that finally, but it felt like every single year was, well, just wait till Lonzo comes back. I don't know about you. Last time I knew that the front of the jersey said Chicago and sometimes says Bulls on it, depending on what iteration they're wearing. But it doesn't say Lonzo Ball. I understand that Bulls and Ball, I mean, that's probably pretty close, right? It's a giant B word, but I'll tell you what else is a giant B word is not actually committing to the tank. It's an R word, rebuild, but the build part, you're missing the build part. And finally, the Bulls are there. So let's hope that is actually the case here. I know I went on a rant, but listen, that's what I got to do about the Bulls. When was my last Bulls rant? It's been a while, but I was finally not ranting about them because they were finally losing games and tanking here. And they still didn't tank fully this year. They were two spots out of a play-in round spot. I mean, it's not like you're getting the highest overall draft pick, and we'll talk high overall draft picks in a second here. But that's where Chicago sports is. And don't get me wrong, Chicago sports is on the rise. And we are looking up in many different sports here. Finally, maybe Bulls basketball is one of them. But just to continue with my point there and complete the analogy, the Blackhawks rebuild, that didn't start until 2022-23 when you tanked for Connor Bedard. Before that, you still had an aging core with Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, injured, aging, whatever you want to call it, and they were still trying to bring in free agents to be competitive and get one more shot at things. You talk about bringing in the Seth Joneses and bringing in the Marc-Andre Fleury's and Taylor Halls, and it's like, this is not a team that's looking to rebuild right now. They're giving it one more shot when they really don't have it in the tank. So I know Blackhawks fans are going, oh, it's been such a long time. It's really only been 3, maybe 4 seasons, if that. I mean, and that's not long rebuild standard. But yes, it has been over a decade since the Blackhawks have won a playoff series or played meaningful postseason hockey. I mean, I don't know if I count the bubble really, but you did get through. Okay, you could count the play-in round series as if you want, and they beat the Edmonton Oilers and a young Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And when I say young Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, that shows you even how long ago that series was, because we could talk about Edmonton's woes these days and being an average team, as Connor McDavid said, but the Blackhawks then get bounced in the actual playoffs by the Golden Knights. So, I mean, that bubble didn't bode well for them, and I honestly think they didn't really deserve to be there, and I think it would have been a better look, and they would have gotten their you-know-what together if they had missed the bubble and could sit back and go, okay, well, we didn't make postseason hockey. Instead, they could kind of puff their chests up and go, oh, we made postseason hockey. See, we still have a shot at things. No, you don't. You're delusional. But I understand wanting to believe in what's in your locker room, and that makes sense. And when we talk about believing in locker rooms, we're actually going to call an audible here, and we are going to get to some Cubs talk sooner rather than later. So we're going to transition back into baseball. We're going to have Blake Cowell joining us at 11 o'clock. But one more time, just to kind of wrap up the rest of our baseball talk, a reminder that the Boomers home opener Monday, May 11th at 6:30 p.m. They've got games Tuesday and Wednesday at home as well. It'll be some fireworks on a Monday night over at Wintrust Field. And then, of course, we will have some Cougars baseball over that next weekend at home. Their season starting at home on the 15th, 16th, and 17th. They'll be celebrating their back-to-back championships on the 15th with a ring ceremony and a hat giveaway, plus some magnet schedules, plus fireworks on Friday and Saturday. So get on out to the beautiful Northwestern Medicine Field as well over in Geneva. But we've got Cubs talk. I know Cubs fans have been patiently awaiting. We'll have Blake Cowell right here. Don't go anywhere. Myself, Mike Napolitano, and Dalton Cooper on the Rise.
It's tax season, and by now, I know you're a bit tired of the numbers, but here's an important one you need to hear. $16 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud. Not all grim news. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second for your personal information and alerts you to threats that you could easily miss on your own. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to fix it. Save up to 40% off your first year with the promo code BECK, 1-800-LifeLock or lifelock.com. Terms to apply.
Chicago defense attorney Mark Schieblo has co-authored the book titled DUI Jury Trial, which is a true story of a DUI case that he defended. The accused was an Illinois truck driver arrested for driving under the influence of alcohol. This book contains facts about the case from the date of the arrest up to the jury's verdict, and this nonfiction novel also includes the transcripts from the jury trial itself. The book DUI Jury Trial is now available on Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com.
Your hometown radio
Your
station
hometown
since
radio
1949.
station since 1949.
We are WRMN,
We are
AM 1410,
WRMN,
Elgin
1410.
time.
Brought to you by USPS Ground Advantage.
The Elgin Police Department has received a Community Partner Award from Markland in recognition of its ongoing volunteer work and support for individuals with severe and profound developmental disabilities. Markland, which operates facilities in Elgin, Geneva, and Bloomingdale, honored the department for its participation in programs like the annual Giving Tree and classroom visits at its day school. Officials say officers have helped residents and students learn, connect, and feel valued through consistent engagement. The award was presented at Markland's Volunteer Appreciation Brunch in Geneva. A decade after 17-year-old Kiana Galvin disappeared in South Elgin, investigators conducted a forensic excavation Thursday at a home in the 800 block of Revere
Health officials
Road
in several countries are contact tracing, trying to identify and follow people who may have come into contact with passengers who got sick or died on that cruise ship with a hantavirus outbreak. The news conference, Dr. Michael Walton, chair of emergency medicine at the University of Nebraska Medical Center,
was last seen in May 2016 after leaving home, and authorities say the investigation
are headed to the special unit in Omaha.
Seeking answers for her family. Illinois gun owners could soon be allowed to mail handguns through the U.S. Postal Service for the first time in nearly a century under a proposed federal rule change, but critics warn the move could make illegal firearms harder to track and enforce across state lines. A trial has opened in McHenry County for Elgin man Liddell Walker, who is charged with drug-induced homicide and a fentanyl overdose death at a motel in September 2023. Prosecutors say Walker sold the victim the fatal dose after text messages and cell phone data placed them together in Elgin before the victim returned to the motel and died. The defense argues Walker did not sell the drugs, pointing to a lack of DNA evidence on the baggie and claiming the meeting was for a truck repair, not a drug deal. The jury will now decide whether the state has proven its case beyond a reasonable doubt.
I'm Ryan Gatenby with your news flash.
Relations between Mexico and the U.S. and officials say it could result in the closure of some diplomatic offices. More than 4,000 deaths have been reported there since 2009, mostly linked to drug cartels. Officials say the move will help ensure vital services, including visa processing, continue safely. John Scott reporting. More townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax relief
The Colonel's cooked up a new $10 bucket of the day just for you. Monday,
IRS,
24 nuggets for $10. Tuesday, 8-piece fried chicken for $10. Wednesday, 10 wings for $10. Thursday, 8 tenders for $10. Friday, 24 nuggets for... Ooh, you guessed it, didn't you? $10 for the $10 bucket of the day
Generous
deal.
programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-583-0141. That's 800-583-0141.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Google has reached a $50 million settlement in a class action lawsuit with a group of black employees.
The settlement includes a commitment to equity measures but does not admit liability. Plaintiffs April Curley, Ronica Lewis, Raina Reed, and Desiree Mayon were joined by other former workers from New York and California. The lawsuit claimed Google shunted black employees into lower-level positions, hazed interviewees, and that hiring managers deemed black candidates not googly enough, a dog whistle for racial discrimination. In a statement, attorney Ben Crump says the case is about accountability and that the settlement sends a clear message across Silicon Valley and beyond that companies must ensure fair treatment of black employees at every level. I'm Jennifer King.
Hall of Famer, four-time WNBA.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast, brought to you by Primatene Mist. This afternoon, partly sunny with a high near 72, a slight chance of rain showers. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 43, a slight chance of rain showers. Looking ahead to Sunday, sunny with a high near 62. Currently, it's 62 and overcast. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
Join us at Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, our biggest trade event of the year, May 14th through the 17th. Trade in your RV and get the highest value guaranteed. Then upgrade for less with new RVs starting as low as $94 a month. Plus, take 25% off select maintenance services. Save up to 40% on camp-ready must-haves. And enter to win a new RV. Don't miss the Red, White, and New Trade event at your local Camping World, May 14th through the 17th. We'll see you there.
For nearly 50 years, the DuPage Senior Citizens Council and Kane Senior Council have been dedicated to serving seniors in DuPage and Kane counties. Established in 1975, the DuPage Senior Citizens Council is a volunteer-driven 501c3 non-for-profit organization committed to helping older adults live with dignity. From providing nutritious meals to offering support services, the Kane Senior Council is there every step of the way. With programs designed to enhance independence and quality of life, they're proud to make a difference in the lives of their senior neighbors. To learn more or to volunteer, visit them at 418B Airport Road in Elgin or head to their website at caneseniorcouncil.org. Give them a call at 630-338-0999. That's 630-338-0999. That's the Kane Senior Council, caring for seniors because they deserve to live with dignity and respect. Visit caneseniorcouncil.org or call 630-338-0999.
It's time to wake up.
Yes!
And lock in to On the Rise.
Yes!
With host Mike Napolitano.
Cub fans have every right to be disappointed if this Cubs team continues on the trajectory that they're on and they miss the playoffs or, at best, get a wild card spot. You are cooked at that point.
Mamma mia! Dalton Cooper.
Like, I would look out for my friends and be like, hey, you know, if you're ranking a little bit, I'm gonna let you know. I feel like that's a good friend. I'd be like, hey, did you smell yourself, or did you maybe did you fart, but something doesn't smell right?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks! And Nick Johnston.
For the most part, to be fair, I don't want to completely, justify a sweep, but the Royals are red hot right now. Vinny Pasquantino might be Ted Williams reincarnated. I'm just kind of throwing that out there.
On WRMN 1410 AM, the voice of the Valley.
Welcome back in here to AM 1410 WRMN's On the Rise. Myself, Mike Napolitano, and Dalton Cooper here joining me, but we also have a special guest calling in over the phone lines. It is Blake Cowell joining us. This man is on a mission down in Texas, the Lone Star State, to see his Cubs, who went on a 10-game win streak. We were talking about it not too long ago. Then they lost 3 in a row, and everybody thought, okay, the fun's over, right? And they beat up on some weaker teams, but then all of a sudden, the Cubs win another 10 straight, a current streak that they take into tonight's 6:05 p.m. start time, and that includes 2 walk-off wins and a 4-game sweep against Dalton's Cincinnati Reds. Blake, what have you seen from this red-hot 27-12 Cubs team right now?
Good morning, gentlemen. How are we today? The sun is shining bright here in Texas, and the sun is shining its bright face on the north side. I loved your guys' intro package. I haven't heard the new intro, and I love your point, Mike, of if the Cubs don't make the playoffs, it'll be very disappointing. And There's not much disappointment right now. It's all sunshine and rainbows here.
Yeah, that was a clip from last year when the Cubs were starting to tank after that All-Star break, and sure enough, they get the wild card spot. They didn't take the division over the Milwaukee Brewers, and like I said, they were cooked, right? They got through that wild card round, but they had to go through 3 games with San Diego to do it. They used up some of their pitching, so by the time you get to a Game 5 with a red-hot Milwaukee team, it was a bullpen game, and that was a bullpen game for Milwaukee as well. But this year, the division in the NL, as much as we talk about when we talk White Sox, how weak the AL Central is, the NL Central, complete opposite, but it has been flipped on its head, especially with the Cubs winning 20 of their last 23 games. And you're down in Texas to see, hopefully, number 11 on this win streak right now. How are they doing this without pitching?
I'll tell you what, man, whatever they're paying Tommy Hotovy, the pitching coach, and Tyler Zombro, the head of pitching, double it. Do not let those guys leave the building, because whatever they're giving these guys, whatever they're telling these guys, whatever they're working on with these guys, it just continues to work. You look at these guys who come out like Ryan Rollison, who didn't pitch well last night, but before that has given the Cubs substantial bullpen innings. You look at a guy like Ben Brown, who has struggled in years past. Well, now he's really good. He has a sub-2 ERA. He pitched last night. He pitched 4 scoreless, hitless innings. They're trying to stretch him out into a starter after losing Matthew Boyd to injury, tore his meniscus, after losing Cade Horton with his Tommy John, which we're all aware of now. But they just continue to find ways and continue to call guys up who just fill innings and eat innings for him. You look at a guy like Colin Ray. He's making $5 million this year for the Cubs, and he goes out there every 5th day and gives them a chance to win. Now, I will say this. How does that translate long-term over the course of a long season? I don't think that's going to work long-term. That's not how you win World Series. You got to go get top-of-the-line, front-line starting pitching, which that remains to be seen if they do go out and make the trade like that. I thought they would last year. Didn't really end up that way. You're kind of in a similar spot this year. So will Jed pull the trigger on something like that? That's more of a conversation for late July, early August. But right now, you're relying on these guys to give you solid innings. And on top of that, this lineup 1 through 9, Mike, they don't give away at bats. They work counts 1 through 9. They're working counts. They're one of the lowest teams in baseball that chase. They have one of the highest walk-to-strikeout ratios in baseball. If you're walking 3 times as many as you're striking out, that's conducive to scoring runs. They're scoring 5.5 runs a game right now. I want to say that's either first or second best in baseball. I know the Dodgers and Braves are right there with them, and I don't have that stat directly pulled in front of me. But 1 through 9, they don't give away at bats, and their bench is really deep too. When a guy needs a day off, yeah, you can go put Michael Conforto to play DH, right field, left field, doesn't matter because he's OPSing 1,000. When you need Matt Shaw to play third base, first base, second base, shortstop, anywhere in the outfield, he can go play because he's batting 290 and OPSing 850 with 4 home runs. So, I mean, you look at the depth of the pitching has helped them because so many guys have got hurt, but the depth of the offense and the depth of the lineup is what's really leading the charge right now for the Cubs.
I'm starting to think, because my name is Michael as well, I could just jump into this Cubs lineup and hit a walk-off because it is just, it's Michael Central here, right? I mean, this is nuts. 2 walk-offs against the Dalton Cincinnati Reds, a 3-2 victory in 10 and a 7-6 victory in 10. The very next day, you had big at-bats from Pete Crow Armstrong within that series too, within those actual 2 games. But I mean, also, the lowest that you talk about the scoring that this Cubs team is doing, the lowest they've scored in any of these win streaks has been 2 runs. It was a 2-0 shutout over the Arizona Diamondbacks at home, but everything else has been pretty high numbers. 5, I think, the lowest number, other than that 3-2 walk-off win as well in 10. And then even that first win streak that I went back to just against Philadelphia and New York, 10-4, 11-2, 12. I mean, we're talking big numbers from this Cubs offense. So I asked about the pitching. The pitching, yes, has been injured. Half of the original staff that was supposed to be here is on that IR, but the bats are awake and alive and very well on the north side.
Yeah, and for this offense to work preseason, I made a bunch of bold claims about it has to run through PCA and it has to run through Michael Bush. If those guys don't produce, then the rest really won't matter. You need those guys to take steps forward. And it's so funny how this game works because they haven't really taken huge leaps forward. They're heating up. They start off really cold. Now they're taking steps forward. But for the longest time, or at least to start the season, you were getting contributions from Carson Kelly, who started off really hot. Dansby Swanson has reinvented his approach, taking a little slug away for more contact. On the flip side, Ian Happ taking less contact away for more power. He's OPSing 850 as a WRC plus. That's 149. He has the second longest on-base streak in Major League Baseball at 29, only behind Nick Kurtz of the Oakland Athletics. So they're getting on base. And when you're getting on base, obviously that's going to translate to more scoring opportunities. And there's been games, where they've gotten guys on base and maybe don't hit with runners in scoring position. But, shoot, you get two guys on base in an inning, that's going to eventually score runs. And I got to give a lot of credit to Craig Counsell, too. I'm not a huge proponent of managers are the reason teams suck. But you can definitely see when a manager puts players in good opportunities to succeed. Moises Ballesteros, he's only facing right-handed pitching. He has 7 at-bats against left-handed pitching, so he's crushing right-handed pitching. He's a young guy. He needs that soft landing into getting full everyday reps at being a Major League Baseball player. Michael Conforto the same way, only really facing right-handed pitching. Matt Shaw, only really facing left-handed pitching. So he's putting his guys in spots to succeed, but then your everyday players are doing what they're supposed to do, high-floor players. Alex Bregman's probably been the worst offensive player on this team. His WRC plus is 98, which is league average. So if your worst offensive player is league average, that's going to work. It's going to work over 162 games. Now, the Cubs aren't going to win at this level or this pace the entire year. It'd be fun if they did. It'd be really cool if they did. I think they're on pace to win 130 games right now. So if they do, that would be really cool. But it's not going to happen. They're going to go through slumps. But like you mentioned at the top of this segment here, Mike, is the Brewers are lurking. They have a good ball club. Their lineup was injured. Their starting pitching is phenomenal. I just really like how they're stacking these wins now. So if you do go through those dog days of August again or those dog days of September where the offense kind of gets cold, you've built such a padding right now on this division that you can afford to go through a week or 2 week slump because, make no mistake, this division's not done because every team is still above 500. But having a 4.5, 5-game lead on the Milwaukee Brewers in May, I'm not going to complain about that either.
No doubt.
No, I like how you bring up Craig Counsell because I wanted to ask you a question. You being our resident Cubs homer, what is the biggest difference between the buttons he was pushing last year versus the buttons he's pushing this year? You can kind of tell looking back at it now from hindsight. He had some comments with the media the other day. Seemed very relaxed. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was more like a, hey, I told you so kind of moment, like having a little fun with the media. I think last year you didn't see that too much. He was probably more, I don't want to say like getting his bearings or maybe get more comfortable with just being in a new organization. But to me, it seems night and day. Just a difference of, like you mentioned, like him, like Craig Counsell pushing all the right buttons and doing all the right things. So is there anything in specific other than just another year in the organization, or do you see something specific that is like, okay, this is what's definitely different, or this is why the Cubs made the right hire bringing this guy in?
I'll say this. The Cubs won 92 games last year. That's pretty good. If the Milwaukee Brewers didn't go on a huge 14-game win streak, they would have been hosting an NLCS series, or it would have been a lot closer. I've seen Craig Counsell smile more this season I think I've ever seen him smile as manager of the Cubs. But I think really the big difference is, and I don't want to give it too much credit, but I don't want it to be understated. I want to lie somewhere in the middle, is the signing of Alex Bregman is going to do so much for this clubhouse that it will never see the tabloids. It will never see the news articles. It will never see the Twitter headlines, because the biggest thing when he left Boston, people weren't mad that they were losing his production because he's a 4-WAR player. Ian Happ's a 4-WAR player. Like, he's not a superstar, but what he does in the clubhouse was the reason Boston Red Sox fans and guys like Jared Carrabis with Baseball is Dead and previously Underdog Baseball, he was so upset because they lost the leadership, They lost a mentor. They lost a guy who is a second coach, is coaching these guys up. You know, Michael Conforto had a huge hit against the New York Mets back a couple weeks ago during the first win streak. And what did he say after the game? Well, I was really struggling there at the start. You know, I struck out 6 times in a row, but, you know, Breggy came over and gave me some pointers and blah, 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 and the rest is history. So, like, if he doesn't say that in the media, you're thinking, like, okay, well, Michael Conforto figured it out. So, like, what is Bregman doing behind the scenes with these other guys? And I don't want to be that guy that talks smack on Kyle Tucker. I don't want to be that guy that sounds like a guy that's not over their ex-girlfriend. But I will say this. When you have a guy like Kyle Tucker in the clubhouse who admittedly, a lot of people around the league said it, he doesn't really care about baseball. He's kind of like a lot of regular everyday people, right? You go to work because you got to make money, and if you don't like your job, then you're kind of just clocking in and clocking out. And that's what Kyle Tucker was. Didn't take batting practice, didn't lift weights. Really, like a kid in middle school that was just God-gifted talent. He was the star player on every team, but you know, went off to go do something else because he just didn't assert himself or try as hard as these other kids. So, and Kyle Tucker's over in L.A. making $60 million and really putting up average stats. So, I want to give Craig Counsell credit because he's putting these guys in positions, but I also want to give credit to Alex Bregman and give credit to the clubhouse because it just looks like they're having more fun. And again, I'm not in the clubhouse. I have no idea. But you hear these guys talk, you see what the Dodgers are doing right now, and again, they're a great baseball team, but you see their fans can play online because it looks like Kyle Tucker doesn't care, and their fans will say it. I don't have to be the guy that tells you. And you look over here on the Cubs side, every player standing up in the dugout every inning. Rick Sutcliffe mentioned it when he was on the broadcast back on the road trip in San Diego. And again, he's kind of a meatball guy himself, a meatball fan now because he's retired, but there is some truth to that. Yeah, stand up for your guys, cheer for your guys. They want to go out and win every day. And they're on pace to win 100 games. And as bad as the injuries have been on the pitching front, they're winning day in and day out. So it's tough to say, like, oh, this won't last because they're not going to win at this pace forever. But you don't have to win at this pace now forever to go out there and win 95 games. And 95 games should get you the division title. And if not, it's going to get you really close to that 1 seed, too.
Let's hope that Kyle Tucker isn't another Anthony Rendon, if anybody remembers the comments that he made about baseball just a couple years ago. But you talk about how red hot this Cubs team is, and yes, they're up on the dugout, and for good reason, too. They're almost playing 700 baseball here in mid-May, well, early May, but I mean, with how quickly this season is going on. 27
They haven't lost in May yet either.
Yeah, haven't lost it. Well, yeah, don't. Let's knock on wood there for old Blake over here because he made the trip all the way down.
I've already spent $100 in gas money. So we got to get some wins now.
Yeah, with gas prices these days, yeah, you might spend a lot more going on your way back. But 27-12. That's the best record in baseball, a game ahead of the Yankees if you look at the entire league, and that's also a game ahead of the Atlanta Braves. Both are sitting at 26-13. So you have a couple of teams that are playing red-hot baseball as well, but they're in the East. As far as that Central Division, a 3.5-game lead on the St. Louis Cardinals, a 5.5-game lead on those pesky Milwaukee Brewers. And, I mean, let's not forget, Dalton's Reds were just leading the division a little over a week ago, and then you had the Pittsburgh Pirates who are playing somewhat real baseball. We'll see for both of those teams if it is as sustainable going throughout the rest of this long season. I think that's what I don't know if this is it's not necessarily a newer thing, right? I mean, baseball for a long time now has been played with 162 games, but I think there's a pacing to modern baseball, right? Where you don't want to hit your foot on the gas the entire time. We saw that with the Cubs a little bit at the start of last year. And I don't want to say that this is deja vu because this looks like a complete another level that the Chicago Cubs are playing at. But with the pitching injuries, I know we've kind of already touched upon that, but also with it being early in the season, what do you think that the Cubs need to do to sustain this going into the second half? Because last year it was the second half that was the problem for them that dropped them out of the lead. So they could build a nice lead all they want here in the spring. How are they going to stay this Chicago Cubs team throughout the full 162 and then into playoffs?
Yeah, I got to give a shout-out to the Lovable Reunion podcast they've been doing, the Anthony Rizzo, David Ross thing. I see the clips. I don't listen to the full-length podcast, admittedly, but one of the clips that I came across, I think they were talking with Jake Arrieta and John Lackey, and they gave a ton of credit to Theo Epstein in 2016 when he went out and traded for Aroldis Chapman. And he said, there's something to a clubhouse when you go out there and you make a move that says, hey, this is going to make us World Series contenders. The front office has done their part. It's now on you guys. And as a fan last year and as a fan base, having a decent pulse on the fan base, being on Twitter and whatnot, and, I think even in the clubhouse too, when the Jed Hoyer at the deadline didn't do enough to that team and only signed Michael Soroka, who then got hurt. So, even that jolt only lasted 3 innings because then he was hurt the rest of the year. And he went out there and got 2 relievers that were fine, but they weren't frontline guys like Griffin Jackson, Joan Duran. I think for them to sustain this pace, they need to go out of the trade deadline. They don't need to do it now. I'm not setting my hair on fire going crazy. You got to make trades right now just to make trades because not a lot of teams are willing to do that. But at the deadline, if you go out there and you trade for a frontline starting pitcher, not a Michael Soroka, I'm talking about hitting a home run here, fellas. I'm talking about going after a guy like Logan Webb from the Giants. I'm talking about a guy like Joe Ryan from the Twins. And maybe if your cards fall right, a guy like Tarek Skubal, who is a rental from Detroit. You got to go out there and get a frontline starting pitching ace that when game 1 of the NLDS hits, you turn to that guy and say, that's our horse. He's given us 7 scoreless, and that other team can't do anything about it. That's the type of guy they need. And if they do that, I think that rejuvenates the clubhouse and says, okay, we got our guys, let's go win it. And I think that's something that they did not have last year after the trade deadline.
Tarek Skubal might be a little bit tougher to get just because of the fact that, there's the injury right now, but also the Tigers are still competing in that AL Central. But guys,
we need your White Sox. We need your White Sox to put them in 4th place. So let's do a little handshake deal here over the phone, Mike. If Murakami can go out there, hit 60 bombs, put the Tigers a couple games under 500, and then we'll trade for Skubal, and everyone's happy.
That's fine. Let me add to that, in addition to that handshake, let us get a couple wins next weekend, maybe Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, if that's okay with you.
The best I can do is I can give you 1. I can't give you 2.
Next weekend, of course, the Crosstown Classic at Rate Field between the Sox and Cubs. It'll be the first half of the 6 games that those 2 teams will meet, the other half in August at Wrigley Field. But you talk about maybe picking up guys from either the Twins or Logan Webb from San Francisco, both of those teams in the sellers, so it might be a little bit easier for the Cubs. Dalton, did you have something that you wanted to jump in there with?
Yeah, I guess my last thing, you were talking about pitching. Can you tell me where you were at preseason with Shota Imanaga and then where you currently stand with Shota Imanaga and kind of the roller coaster of emotions we've all gone through with that man? And then the wrap it up too. Is this the best Cubs team since 2016?
First part, the beauty of giving all of your opinions online is people can find when you were horrifically wrong, but also you can find where you were spot on. Unfortunately for me, Shota Imanaga is a guy who I was horrifically wrong about. I understated how bad I think his injury was last year with the hamstring and just like that good push-off leg that I think you need for starting pitching. Again, I'm not a pro baseball player. I kind of just watch the games and pull what I can. He was terrible last year. Don't get me wrong, he was terrible. He's upped his splitter usage and sink usage on his fastball, which I found very interesting. Lance Brozdowski with Marquee Network's done a good job covering this. So upping that splitter usage, keeping the ball down. He's predominantly a fly ball pitcher, but it's tough to hit home runs when you're hitting it on the ground, right? So I was horrifically wrong about him so far. He's been pitching like an ace, like we saw his first All-Star season with the Cubs. But again, if the Flyers were to start today, he's going game 1. He's got a 2.2 ERA. So horrifically wrong about it. That's okay. And then going into the second part of your question, remind me what that was real quick.
Yeah, is this the best Cubs team since 2016 by far?
Last year was really good. I think I don't want people to get lost in how good last year's team was. They won 92 games, but I think the lineup 1 through 9 and the depth is a lot better. But that pitching's pretty shaky still. We had Cade Horton last year. People do forget that guy was one of the best pitchers in the second half. So I think 2026 and 2025 are pretty neck and neck going back to 2016, but they're close. It's a good ball club here.
Well, you may not be a professional baseball player, but you are a professional when it comes to jumping on and talking Cubs with us. Pleasure to have you on the team and have your insider knowledge on the Northsiders. So Blake, before we let you go, I know you got a busy day out in Texas, but let everybody know where they can find you and what kind of projects you got going on.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure hopping on with you fellas. Hopefully next week we'll cross paths maybe on Sunday. I know you guys are coming back from a trip yourselves. Anyone can find me at Blake Cowell X, COWELLX, on every single platform you can think of. I'm scattering my content all over the map. This weekend, I heard they got a 2-pound burrito that they sell at the ballpark and some sombrero nachos. So keep your eyes peeled for a review on those two. We'll be there tonight. We'll be there tomorrow, and we'll be eating some interesting ballpark foods. So look out for those.
R.I.P. to the hotel bathroom.
Right on, man.
Especially if Michael Busch hits some home runs, because you are doing those Michael Busch light chugs. So yeah, I mean, let's
need that. We need that for everyone
in the stands.
Let's hope Globe Life Field has a couple of sponsorships with Busch Light for you to continue if said Michael Busch hits a couple of bombs here this weekend.
We need it. Thank you guys so much. I will talk soon.
Love you, Blake.
Love you, Blake. Thank you so much. That was Blake Cowell of WRMN. You can hear him also on Marcus's show, The Truth About Chicago Sports, but he's out in Arlington, Texas for Globe Life Field, the matchup between the Texas Rangers and the Chicago Cubs. Hey, if you thought Chicago sports was over, absolutely not. We have another half an hour here of On the Rise, and we have so much to get to. That is the NHL playoffs, the NHL draft lottery, where the Blackhawks are picking what they could possibly do with that, and then maybe a little bit of soccer talk as well before we go into women's basketball season with the Chicago Sky. All of that and more right here. Myself, Mike Napolitano, and Dalton Cooper on the Rise, AM 1410 WRMN.
Progressive presents the Sports Flash on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN. 2-1 win for the Cardinals Thursday over the Padres. Jordan Walker doubled, then scored the tie-breaking run on Mason Wynn's triple in the 7th. It was the opener of a 7-game trip. The Cards have victories in 8 of 10. The Cubs completed a 4-game sweep of the Reds at Wrigley Field on Thursday, winning 8-3. Michael Conforto 3 for 3 with a home run and 2 RBI. Shota Imanaga tossed 6 innings of 1-run ball. It was the 15th straight home win of the season for the Cubs. They improved to 26-12, while the Reds lost their 7th straight and dropped to 20-18. Bo Naylor hit a 3-run home run to cement the Guardians' 8-5 win over the Royals in Kansas City on Thursday. Kyle Manzardo had a 2-run double that opened the scoring in the first. The Guardians tagged Seth Lugo with 5 hits in a 3-run first inning. Bobby Witt Jr. had 4 hits, matching a career high in the loss for the Royals. Save big when you bundle auto and home, renters, or condo with Progressive. I'm Chuck Sanders on News Talk Radio 1410 WRMN.
Mother's Day, this Sunday. Gifts I needed? Multiple. Time I had? Basically none. Was I stressed? Absolutely. Until I came to Macy's. Because now I'm finding gifts that feel thoughtful. A designer handbag, beautiful fine jewelry, great beauty gift sets that don't need to be wrapped. One trip to Macy's, and it looks like I planned it all along. Hurry in and save on the perfect gift at Macy's Mother's Day sale today.
Progressive knows life takes you in many directions.
Bear right at exit 32, then begin to wonder why you never bought a fish tank. In 1.3 miles, you'll realize you've been mispronouncing epitome your whole life. At the roundabout, you will remember you said something at dinner you wish you hadn't and will think about it for decades. You have arrived at your destination, but it turns out there really is no destination and life just keeps going.
Wherever life takes you, protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Ready to tackle your junk piles? Call the Junk Luggers. From old furniture to entire cleanouts, we do the heavy lifting. And here's the best part. We rehome and recycle as much as possible to keep it all out of landfills. Feel good about your cleanout the green way. Call 1-800-LUG-JUNK or visit junkluggers.com today for your eco-friendly, stress-free service.
Do you ever crave a delicious treat, but that pesky guilt lingers over you? Well, you can have your dessert and eat it too. Desserts that's gluten-free, keto, vegan, and actually delicious. Yes, we're serious. At Desserts Without Regrets, located in Gilbert's, we bake for people who read labels. Custom cookies, celebration cakes, and treats made with clean ingredients and zero guilt. No walk-ins, because great dessert takes planning. Pre-order only at dessertswithoutregrets.com or call Daria at 312-610-9033. That's Desserts Without Regrets, because dessert should never be a regret.
This is Sarah Silver with your Fox Valley forecast, brought to you by Primatene Mist. This afternoon, partly sunny with a high near 72, a slight chance of rain showers. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 43, a slight chance of rain showers. Looking ahead to Sunday, sunny with a high near 62. Currently, it's 62 and overcast. I'm Sarah Silver on the Talk of the Town, WRMN.
Join us at Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, our biggest trade event of the year, May 14th through the 17th. Trade in your RV and get the highest value guaranteed. Then upgrade for less with new RVs starting as low as $94 a month. Plus, take 25% off select maintenance services. Save up to 40% on camp-ready must-haves. And enter to win a new RV. Don't miss the Red, White, and New Trade event at your local Camping World, May 14th through the 17th. We'll see you there.
Welcome back to AM 1410 WRMN. On the rise with myself, Mike Napolitano, and Dalton Cooper joining me. We've got so much more sports to talk about in this last half hour, but once again, thank you to Blake Cowell for being an awesome team member here with the River Media Network sports side of WRMN. Jumping on our show, also taking the trip down to see his Cubs in action in Texas, and then just the great knowledge that he brings us here with his Cubs side of talk. I also want to thank another team member of ours, the top team member, Dean Delaley, because this past week I had the opportunity to go to the Dante Award ceremony. It was a luncheon. It was with a lot of the JCCIA members, of course, Ron Onesti. Always a great time getting a chance to see him and see the wonderful work that he and his family and his team put together for these Italian-American events, the Joint Civic Committee of Italian Americans. That's the acronym right there. But it was the Dante Awards, and they were honoring Ryan Cheverini, who is receiving the Dante Award. If you're not sure who Ryan Cheverini is, 1, you're living under a rock. 2, he is an Emmy Award-winning daytime talk show host. He's been on Windy City Live. He's been in, I think it was General Hospital. I'm not the biggest soap opera guy, but I know he's got the acting career behind him as well. He's talked to so many incredible, talented, tip-top stars. I mean, I would be starstruck if I was in some of the same rooms as some of these people that he gets to be in. But most of all, what's pressing for this sports department is he is the lead sports anchor for ABC7. He also talks Bears. He had a 2-minute warning show for a little bit, but he also does a lot of the post games after Bears games on ABC7. So super talented. Also a hockey guy like ourselves. And I mean, that's an opportunity right there that allows us as WRMN to go ahead and pick the brains of some of the best in the field here in Chicago. So I want to thank Dean for taking us out, or taking me out to that, but taking this team out to events like that can open doors not only for us here at the station, but for our careers as well. And congratulations to Ryan Cheverini. We have the interview up on all of our platforms, so go ahead and check that out once more. Those platforms, WRMN on Instagram or Facebook. We also have the On the Rise Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and then you can find our personal accounts from there. Dean's on there as well. But we got to get into some hockey here. Speaking of hockey, because first and foremost, the draft lottery, and I think it's a little bit of a disappointment for most Chicagoans. We were talking a little bit earlier about high draft picks for the Chicago Blackhawks, and when are we going to stop with the hope for high draft picks and actually be competitive again? The Blackhawks they had the, I believe, second best odds at the first overall pick after this season that fell off the rails halfway through. They dropped to 4th in the draft lottery, which gives a couple of questions as to what the Blackhawks should do with this 4th overall pick. I am pretty dead set on what I want to see happen with this 4th overall pick, considering who's eligible for this draft lottery. But Dalton, what were your thoughts on this?
I actually don't think it's a bad thing. I think for them, they need it to either be number 1 or like somewhere where they are now, because I think the draft really starts at number 2 or number 3. So
yeah.
I don't think it's a bad spot to be in. You also, they're getting, this happened yesterday. I don't know if you saw this with the Blackhawks, but they're getting Roman Kantarasov from the KHL.
Kantarasov, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that. So that'll be, I don't know, a consolation prize, I guess, for not winning the draft lottery. They get Roman instead. But I like I said, I don't think it's a bad place to be. I mean, this team is ready. They kind of know what they need. They need, another probably another defenseman. I would imagine is where they go with this pick. But it just depends. It really, I could see them trading it, honestly. I don't think that'd be the worst thing ever either. So Connor McDavid might be available. What if they float the 4th overall pick? Maybe, I don't know, whatever prospects you can think of or picks maybe. And Connor McDavid comes to Chicago.
Well, I want to address the Connor McDavid stuff in a second here, because I don't know if we talked about it. No, I don't think we talked about it last week, because they hadn't been knocked out by the Ducks yet, I don't think, by the time we were done recording that show live from Wintrust Field where the Boomers play. So go ahead and go check that one out if you do get a chance to go back. And we had both the Deputy Commissioner of the Frontier League, Matt Shepardson, on, and also the lovely and talented Hannah Arbitman to be able to talk Boomers and Wolves. She was doing both in one day, so that was incredible. But we got to go into Kantarasov a little bit before we go into this draft pick. Kantarasov was the number 44th overall draft pick by Chicago in 2023, so that was a second-round pick. There's been a lot of talk about him, about when he's coming over. He was playing for Magnitogorsk in the KHL. He's 21 years old. He's 5'9" and 176 pounds. So 176 centimeters, 176 pounds. He's a lefty. And now he has a contract that is signed for 3 years on an entry-level deal. So that's huge. I wouldn't necessarily call it a consolation prize, because he kind of already had him in the draft pool. It was just a matter of like when he was coming over. So that was the good news from the week. I don't hate having the 4th overall draft pick. Now, would we have loved to get Gavin McKenna at number 1? Because like you said, the draft starts at number 2. It's pretty dead set that number 1 is going to be Gavin McKenna. And also, can we throw in here, the Toronto Maple Leafs have only ever missed the playoffs twice in, I think, the last 8 seasons it was. And
I think once, actually.
This would be number 2, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and both
they get Matthews and Gavin McKenna those 2 years.
They got the first overall draft pick both of those 2 years. Every other year they've made playoffs. And yeah, sure, you could say how things went with the Austin Matthews time and that core 4 and how it's kind of fallen apart now, but I almost think this is kind of worst case scenario for the Blackhawks, because there were rumors that Matthew Nyes would come from Toronto to Chicago. There were rumors that even Austin Matthews would be the next American-born superstar goal scorer for Chicago if he comes over from Toronto. You know, he kind of wants to get out of that Canadian market after how some of them were treated this past year and how Toronto is falling apart. They lose Mitch Marner, who may as well win the Conn Smythe. He may as well win the Conn Smythe this year if they go on and win the Stanley Cup. But I think a lot of those plans are thwarted now, because if the Toronto Maple Leafs keep this first overall pick, which I don't see why they wouldn't, they're selecting Gavin McKenna, and does the window reopen for them? That's a guy that's ready to step into the NHL on day one, like a Macklin Celebrini, like a Connor Bedard. We can go into some of the scandals that were going on with Gavin McKenna. Of course, I think we talked on this show almost a month or 2 ago when he did. I think he punched the guy in the jaw and broke the guy's jaw.
Saying inappropriate things to his mom, I believe.
Saying inappropriate things to his mom, but now it just comes out, I believe, yesterday or the day before, that allegedly his mom was distributing alcohol to minors. So, and it was on that same day that those allegations and the forgive me, I'm drawing a blank on my lawyer talk. but I think the files,
Allegedly.
excuse me, allegedly. Well, this is not allegedly. The files were gosh, the word just came out of my brain. I can't see James Vaselli fast enough tonight here at the White Sox game. These things were filed against Gavin McKenna's mom on that same day. Now, does that excuse anybody from talking smack about your mom? Absolutely not. But, I mean, maybe it had some connection to do with this. I don't know. I'm speculating. Like we said, this is all alleged. Punching the dude in the jaw was not alleged. That happened, but the charges were dropped on that. But now new charges are reopened. So what does that mean for Gavin McKenna's future? Do the Toronto Maple Leafs, the mecca of hockey, want even more controversy surrounding their team after they hired John Chaika? If you don't know the name in John Chaika, this was the man that canned Shane Doan in the Coyotes organization. Shane Doan was willing to work for a discount and help revitalize that Arizona Coyotes franchise. John Chaika not only cans Shane Doan, a former player, a former superstar, a former all-star who could really help your organization, but on top of that, he had scandals himself. If you remember, the Arizona Coyotes were penalized and they lost their draft picks because they were tampering with draft picks. They were getting a chance to test and analyze draft picks in a way that you're not allowed to. And who was at the center of that scandal? John Chaika. Who was fired for that scandal? John Chaika. Now, there was no ban put on John Chaika like there was with a Stan Bowman or a Joel Quenneville. Those were different actions completely. But all of a sudden, he gets to be reinstated in the league, and there are a lot of people that don't like him in this league. But not only does he get reinstated in the league, he's got the top job basically in hockey. Toronto is, like I said, the hockey mecca. It's the capital basically of hockey. Toronto, they always talk about how rash the media is up in Toronto and how tough it is to play there. And it is like the bleeding heart of hockey in Canada. And you saw that when they're in that post-game conference with John Chaika, and they're using words like, they use these words, scumbag, liar.
That press conference was tough.
Yeah, I mean, great reporting to go and dig those words and those quotes out about how people around the league feel about John Chaika. But the Toronto Maple Leafs organization had no answer to it. And then next thing you know, they're picking first overall. I'm not saying that there's any tampering there. I'm not even alluding to that. But I mean, this is a funny coincidence that that's all happening. You know, I mean,
remember
that's
when TSN did the draft simulation, and the Maple Leafs ended up winning their simulation. Remember? I don't know if you remember that
yes,
a month or so ago.
I did see that. Well, and this isn't as big of a jump as the Islanders last year, jumping from the 11th spot to the 1 spot, but it's a significant jump for a team that's window looked like it was about to close with missing the playoffs this year, and all of a sudden, does that reopen things for the Toronto Maple Leafs? And like I was starting out with this, does that close off the idea of Matthew Nyes or Austin Matthews coming to Chicago for to play alongside Connor McDavid, Connor Bedard. We'll get into McDavid in a second, but yeah, I think that kind of negates all of that, right?
At least for right now, yeah. But with the new hiring of John, you never know how their culture is going to be. So maybe come All-Star break next year, maybe, or trade deadline, maybe they're in the same position just because they've got bad culture. So they're a dumpster fire right now. I know Brock Big Canada Daddy is not very happy with what's going on. He's like, I could do a whole 3-hour rant on this team right now, in this organization. So Maple Leaf Nation is not happy. They probably have a lot of rights to be not happy, at least with that hiring standpoint. Winning the lottery is one thing, but I don't know. We know here in Chicago, it all starts with leadership. So if you have bad leadership in your organization, it usually doesn't go well, no matter how great your players are. So, I mean, ask the Buffalo Sabres, for God's sakes. So,
right. And we talk about leadership on and off the ice with ownership. Buffalo's a great example of that, with the Pagulas getting names wrong on the back of jerseys at times for their alumni. Yeah. I mean, if you can't even spell names on the back of jerseys correctly, I mean, when it comes to Toronto, it starts at the top. And also, I know you're talking a little bit too about the leadership on the ice, and does Matthews want to be there, right? As an American-born who is mistreated a little bit after the Olympics and hounded even more so by that already tough Toronto media. So we'll see. I mean, like we said, there's another Canadian team that the Blackhawks could be looking at to steal a couple of superstars in the offseason. But I think with having this 4th overall pick for the Blackhawks, I think you package it with something. And I've heard the rumors even dating back to last year of a trade that involves Kevin Korchinski, because you have a lot of defensemen here for Chicago. That would be probably what you're picking at that fourth place spot in the draft. So do you package basically a guaranteed defenseman at 4 with another defenseman to a team that really needs it, and do you get something offensively for Connor Bedard instead? And what could that offensive thing be? I mean, we talked about Connor McDavid's exit interviews saying, hey, this was an average team all year, and we were trying to play above average, and we just never found it and stuff. So he's obviously frustrated with Edmonton. You go to the Cup Finals 2 years in a row. You made the Western Conference Finals the year before that. I mean, you're looking at a guy who's, and we talk about how bad Toronto is. We're looking at an organization in the Edmonton Oilers that have wasted, probably when it's all said and done, the best hockey player in the world, in the history of hockey, even over Gretzky. Even Gretzky has said McDavid's better than me, and I'm not ready to say that quite yet. But I think when it's all said and done, and you look at how the league is now, faster, quicker, stronger, I think Connor McDavid will go down as the best hockey player. I mean, yeah, right. There will be another guy replacing him. There's always a bigger fish, right? Eventually. But you've wasted his entire 20s, and you've done nothing. And all you've really needed is maybe a little defense and a goaltender, and you haven't gotten that. Is he out of there?
I mean, if I were him, I would have been out of there last year. But that's just me. That's just like Knoblauch and the organization has not really given you much to work with outside of Leon Draisaitl. But I had a thought earlier this week, and now that we're here, let me get your thoughts on this. Looking back on it, once it's all said and done, let's just think like 5 or 10 years down the road. Do we think that in the moment that Nathan McKinnon was actually the guy that we thought Connor McDavid was going to be? Because right now it looks like McKinnon's about to win his second cup.
Yeah.
It looks like he might win a Conn Smythe, which would be his first. He is the internet. He actually has the international success that McDavid doesn't technically,
other than missing the net.
Right, that's true too. But like just the accolades and like the actual player, like yeah, everybody's gonna talk about McDavid and he is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but like as far as the accolades. And then as far as like the actual statistics, McKinnon, I feel like is not that far behind McDavid when you look at the numbers. But like from accomplishments, McDavid is like kind of behind McKinnon. I would say by more of a margin than they are separated by points and statistics in that regard.
I don't disagree. I still think when you've gotten to a Stanley Cup and you've won the Conn Smythe. Now, I mean, listen, when you have a Cale Makar on your team and you have goaltending that steps up, of course, Nathan McKinnon.
Mike, they won that Stanley Cup with a backup goal.
That's why I'm saying goaltending that steps up. I'm not saying he's standing on his head like Lundqvist.
Who was their goalie when they won? Oh, Darcy Kemper.
Darcy Kemper, yeah. So I mean, it's a guy that's been there before and just hadn't gotten over that hump, and he stepped up and finally did it. But I mean, I'm talking. I'm not saying he's Conn Smythe worthy, but I'm talking. You're looking at maybe somebody other than Nathan McKinnon winning the Conn Smythe, right? And that's exactly what happened. I don't disagree with you. For me, McDavid and McKinnon are 1A and 1B, right? And I don't think that McKinnon gets any less of a. I mean, maybe yeah. When everybody talks McDavid, he gets less spotlight. But I don't think McKinnon deserves any less spotlight. And I think the catalyst for what you're seeing right now was the moment that he was handed a silver medal and a stuffed plushie out in Milan, and he was just disgusted. And somehow, some way, this man unlocked another level of play that I didn't even think. I don't think he even thought it was possible. And he is just absolutely playing his mind out of his mind. Excuse me. But
yeah,
no, I've never put Nathan McKinnon on a different tier than Connor McDavid. But I think when you look at the cups and the Conn Smythes and stuff like that, I think that involves team. Even though Conn Smythe is an individual award, your team has to get there for you to win that Conn Smythe, right? Like, yeah, sure, you can be a Conn Smythe winner and be out in the first round. It's never happened before. But, I mean, if you make that much of an impact like one of these two guys can, it's possible. But when you lose a Stanley Cup final and still win a Conn Smythe, that just goes to show you that, hey, the team wasn't there. Yeah, sure, maybe you didn't put the team on your back like everybody was expecting you to, but you still did everything you could in the playoffs. The team just didn't get the reward in the end. And that's been the case with the Edmonton Oilers and not so much with the Colorado Avalanche. Sure, they've had a couple of bounces earlier than they've liked, but when they're hot and look at what they're doing in the playoffs right now, I mean, this Colorado team, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I had them in both of my, actually, no, I made 2 brackets. But I had them going and winning the cup in one. I had them losing to Minnesota in the other just because I thought maybe it's Minnesota's year. But I mean, the winner of that series to me is going to win the Stanley Cup. And right now it looks like it's Colorado.
Ooh. I think I would agree that the winner of that series is going to go to the cup final. I don't know. I don't know if the winner of that series is going to win the cup. I would agree with that logic, because you just never know who they're going to meet in the East, and you just never know injuries and stuff like that. That's what
And the East has been better other than those top juggernauts, right? Like the Minnesotas, the Dallases, and the Colorados. But 2 of those 3 teams are going to be out by round 2 here, just the way the format goes, right? And then I think with how much of a bloodbath the East is going to be, I think, not that the West is going to have an easier time getting there, but whoever moves on from this second round between the Colorado Avalanche and the Minnesota Wild, and as we said, it looks like it's going to be it looks like it's going to be Colorado as of right now. How much easier is the East or the Western Conference Final going to be? And I'm not saying it's going to be their easiest series, because like we said, Vegas and Mitch Marner doing incredible things. But I think that's going to be easier than what they're up against each other right now, especially if 100%. It was Minnesota. They had Dallas first round. That was a tough series. Maybe the Kings weren't as a formidable opponent, but it's still a playoff series, right? You still got to get through, and Colorado did with pretty much ease. But let's take a look at that other series in the West between the Vegas Golden Knights and the Ducks. I mean, Joel Quenneville's coaching, I think, got the Ducks here. Also, the collapse of Edmonton, as we were kind of talking about. But I don't think it's enough to get you through the Golden Knights. They've been here. They've done that. They've had the addition of Mitch Marner. And we'll see. I mean, I don't have.
I wouldn't write the Ducks off just yet.
No, but I don't have Anaheim moving on after this series from what I've seen from Vegas right now.
Oh, so you think this is like a 5-gamer? Do you think okay, let me ask you this. Do you think the Ducks win another game in this series?
No, I could see 6. But okay. I mean, they'd have to they'd have to steal one, right? I
think they should have won game 1.
They should have, right? And that's where it comes down to some puck luck, and unfortunately,
that icing call was garbage, or that non-call on icing was awful.
It was, and Quenneville is livid before the goal even goes in, because he identifies that a play like that can change the entire game, and sure enough, it did. But I mean, I'm not going to say, oh, one bad break, you can't make an excuse, because that was a valid excuse. I'm just saying you give the Golden Knights that first game and you give them a little bit more of that momentum, and next thing you know, I think you're off and running, right? I don't know if this Ducks team can survive a 7-game series after a bad break like that. I mean, you needed all the breaks that you can get, and that's not even a break. That's just the game itself. Like, you just need the officiating to not make a mistake there, and you maybe get that game. But the wouldas, the couldas, and the shouldas don't matter when it's NHL playoffs, right?
Right.
So we've got some exciting things going on in the East. We're going to run out of time, so I'm going to get your quick thoughts on both series here. We've got Sabres and Canadiens. I think everybody wants to see both of these teams to move on just because of the droughts that both of these teams had, but also the Canadiens. Yes, they go to the Cup final in 2020, but they were in that little bit of a rebuild, and they're an exciting young team to watch. And then the Hurricanes trouncing the Flyers. I mean, I think people thought the Flyers were going to put up, I thought the Flyers were going to put up more of a fight in this one after they handled the Penguins, but we're just seeing how real the Hurricanes are right now.
Yeah, speaking of another team that hasn't lost this postseason, that's Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina has not even lost a lead yet in these playoffs. Yeah, they've led for every single, as soon as a goal is scored, obviously every game starts 0-0, but they've led for every single second of scoring within their first 7 games. Crazy. The sweep of the Senators and a 3-0 lead over the Flyers. That'll be a 5 o'clock puck drop tonight. Tomorrow's 6 p.m. puck drop will be Sabres and Canadiens. That's been a fun one. It's tied 1-1. I could see that one going the distance. Both teams are hungry. Canadiens are young. Sabres, they've got that drought, like I said, and you've got Cole Caulfield going up against Tage Thompson. That's must-see TV. You've got an 8 p.m. game between the Avalanche and Wild tonight. Colorado leading that series 2-0. And then Vegas, like we were talking about, a 2-1 lead over the Ducks. They'll play it tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. But I should say Canadians and Hurricanes have something in common, and that is two of their players, one of their players each, has a brother playing for the Chicago Wolves, who have advanced from the Central Division semifinals in 5 games. They almost did it in 4. They were 10 seconds away from winning in 4 against a Texas Stars team that had their number all regular season long. Unfortunately, they give up the game-tying goal with the extra attacker for Texas. They go to overtime, take a 4-minute penalty, and then they lose game 4. But they came back in game 5, a Ryan Suzuki hat trick. We've got all of that information up on the socials for you, so go check that out. But the second round against a Grand Rapids Griffins team that has been the opposite. Even though the Griffins have been a better team all year, the Wolves seem to have had their number. So we'll see if it's a little bit of a reverse in this series.
I've been calling for this all year, baby. I've been calling for it. It's time. We need to get it. It's going to be a 5-gamer, I'm telling you right now. We will probably have to talk to Sophia Blackburn next week. She'll be down in Indianapolis with us for some Clowns baseball against the Party Animals. But we didn't quite get to soccer here. I'll be at Fire today, so check out all of our socials for that information. But Dalton, I want to thank you for joining me. Thank you to Blake Cowell for joining us. Thank you to Dean for that. One more shout out to the Dante Awards that I was talking about. This has been another edition of AM 1410's On the Rise, right here on WRMN, Fox Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance tech at a university, he knows ordering from multiple suppliers takes time away from keeping their arena up and running. That's why he counts on Grainger to get everything he needs, from lighting and HVAC parts to plumbing supplies, all in one place. And with fast, dependable